You're asking the why question?
I hope so. I can't really remember because it's that long ago. But I think especially as a kid, I used to ask a lot, why is that? And why do I have to do that? And starting asking that why question really gets you to the bottom of why a change could be necessary and leads to kind of like a deeper knowledge.
You spent a lot of time in the retail sector and understood it very well. I mean, at a young age, you were running big companies. The transition from being a successful retailer to a speaker who's changing the world, literally.
That was tough. It was really tough because being in retail, I was an executive manager for a very, very big department store chain.
Yeah.
And I had kind of like a safe job. So I had my monthly salary, I had a good company car, and I had lots of career opportunities. And I really liked the job. But I sensed that there was something deeper. And I always loved working with my people and doing some development with my leadership team and doing workshops for them. And I always knew I wanted to start my own company, but it took me at least 3 years to really be ready for that decision because there were so many fears around that, and I had to start exactly at zero. So I had 0 clients, I had no network at all, and my financial backup was for about 3 months or so. So I had to be very, very good from the beginning just to pay my bills, and it was a lot of hard work at the beginning, and it was quite scary, to be honest.
Wow, it paid off. And talk to us about your philosophy of human to human, because many a times you find people, particularly in marketing, will be looking at business to business marketing and making a big emphasis on that, but you moved from that.
Well, yes and no. Of course, I work a lot in B2B. 95% of all my clients are in the B2B sector. But what I found, it doesn't matter which industry you're working in, it's always about building relationships. It's always about connecting with other people. And it doesn't matter if you're working with a CEO or just a sales guy. It's always about how can you connect to that person. And the deeper that connection is, the easier business becomes, and this has become my philosophy over the years. And I always try to understand the people I work with, always try to build a connection, and this is kind of like the basis philosophy of my whole business.
Right. Obviously in the country to motivate us as well, because we've been doing this all over the world, and the feedback is amazing.
It is, and actually I just love being around here because South Africa for me is like a country that is so... It stands for change. I mean, what other country has been going through these changes like South Africa? So it's so inspiring. And there's a saying, if one teaches, 2 people learn. And this is exactly what I'm doing right now here.
Fantastic stuff. Now, talk to us about change management. Do you find that the different countries that you go to have similar problems, or there are differences?
There are some common principles, I would say, because basically, bottom line, change is exactly the same everywhere, all over the world, and every country is dealing with the same kind of changes right now, more or less. But of course, there are cultural differences. Where I'm from in Europe, people are very structured, are not that. Let's say the other way around. They are very risk averse. They try to be always on the safe side, and. On the other hand, let's talk about South African people. As far as I got to know them, you are very opportunity focused and always asking what opportunity is lying in that change. And this is the basic difference if you're more or less looking for opportunities, or are you looking for the risks involved in change.
Who needs it more? The people at leadership positions or the people ascending towards leadership?
Well, I would say both, because today change itself has changed a lot. Just maybe 10 years ago, there was just the leadership people saying that this is the direction we go, and all the other people went in that direction or don't. But today it's more about co-creation. I think every single person, every single human being has to play its part and has to be responsible at his or her place and then lead the changes, and no matter how small they are. But of course, leadership is always key. If the leaders walk their talk, and if the leaders are a role model, a benchmark for the people around them, then the people will gladly follow them. If it's the other way around, it's going to be a big problem.
It's SAFM. We're chatting to Get Up and Go guest straight from Germany. He's in South Africa to teach us a thing or two about managing change. And of course, change is not as bad as many of us think. It's something that we can work towards. Do you find between leadership or leaders and those who are led, who is more resistant to change? Who is more afraid?
It's tough to answer that, because it's always about individuals, and I know so many so-called leaders who are so afraid of change and who try to do everything they can just to move around it and not to have to make a decision. And on the other hand, I know so many people who are supposed to be a follower to that leaders, who are so courageous, who take responsibility, who have great ideas. And so it's more about a personality style than in the position you are in. Of course, being a leader, having the title as a leader just doesn't mean anything. It's your words and especially your actions that define if you are a leader or not.
And you know, looking at some of the things you like and those you don't like as much, people without an opinion, political correctness, and people who don't make decisions, people are not very decisive.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I think the worst decision you can make is actually don't make a decision at all, because making a decision, of course, it's tough because you never know beforehand if it's the right decision or not.
Yeah.
So you have to make that decision. And of course, today we are living in times where our circumstances have become so complex and uncertainty is our daily companion. And of course, it's tough to make a decision. But the worst you can do is don't make a decision at all, because being able to make that decisions gives the people around you clarity. It gives them orientation. So I think the first decision you should make every single day is to commit to make a decision in the first place.
I love the clarity part, because many of us are short on that.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. And if you're not clear for yourself, how can you communicate clarity? How can you make the right decisions? How can you act in a certain kind of way? So it always starts with us. And we have to be clear about what we want and what we don't want, and act and behave accordingly.
I'd like you to teach me how to get to a point of clarity, because everything is in the haze, and eventually that's where procrastination comes in and things never get done.
Absolutely. And I think it's kind of like it's part of our development. And I think it helps to know your core values. It helps to know what you expect from life.
Yeah.
And I think it starts with taking a bold look in the mirror and asking yourself all these questions. What's important to me? And what are the values that are important to me? And what do I really, really want from life? And if you are keen enough to answer these questions honestly to you, then that's the first big step. And the more you know your values, the more you know your core values and your core principles, after that, it's not getting easier, but that clarity starts to grow. And it never stops. I think it never stops. It's a path of continuous learning. And this is what makes life interesting.
I like it when you say, think it, do it, change it.
Well, yeah, this is actually good you're mentioning it. This is actually the title of my first book that was published in America. I think it was in 2016, yeah.
Wow.
No.
A bestseller. I mean, 9 books down the line and people are still getting them in.
True. Yeah.
So, in South Africa, where do we see you? What's your itinerary looking like?
Well, I just flew in yesterday, and thanks to my great assistant standing next to me here, we have a very, very tight schedule, and we'll be mostly here in Johannesburg. We'll be in Pretoria on Friday. We're doing lots of interviews, like with you right now, and I just love it. It is such a great time. I love coming here because the people around here, they are so friendly, and it gives me so much inspiration just talking to you this morning. Thank you for the honor. It's a great honor for me to be here. Yeah, and I'm leaving on Sunday, actually.
That shot's 2 days and then you're gone. This is not fair. This is not fair. So you'll be talking to corporates and trying to get them to choose their focus, to choose to take a chance, to choose their vision, and to choose to take action.
Yeah, exactly. This is kind of like my basic formula for change, because of course all the companies, they are really craving for a kind of like recipe on how to make change happen, but there's bad news. There is no one size fits all formula, because every change process is different, and of course people are different, so you always have to look very specifically on how to deal with a certain kind of change. But there are common principles, and you just mentioned them. It's about adjusting your focus and to focus on opportunities, and it's about knowing what you want. It's about deliberately choosing your purpose for a change, because I think change should never happen just for change's sake, but it needs to have a purpose, and the clearer that purpose is, the easier it gets. And of course it's about making bold decisions, and then it's about taking action and developing a habit out of that change. And if you focus on these 4 principles, I think you're good to go.
Also, I'd love to hear a lot more about team play dynamics, because people go on team building exercises and whatever else, but things don't change, things don't move. The dynamics that people can effectively put to practice and be able to measure over a period of time, to say, we were here, we are now here.
Yeah. Well, team building it's tough and easy at the same time. I think the most important part of team building is putting the team together. And in my opinion, good teams are always diverse. So you've got a good mixture of young and old, you've got a good mixture of male and female, and you hopefully have people with different personality traits on that team, because if people are different, there's tension. And if you use that tension to move forward, and if you use that tension to work on goals, this is what a great team is all about. If you got all the people are just the same on a team, well, it's basically not a great team, because everybody's the same. So good leaders are focusing on getting the right people on the team. And of course, measuring success of change, it's kind of difficult, because it's so much about soft skills, it's about communication, it's about having the right mindset, it's about living your values, and there are no real KPIs for that. So you have to define what your goal is, and the clearer that definition is, the easier it becomes to measure it.
Wow, I can't wait. So you Pretoria today? Tomorrow,
yeah.
Yes. And then Saturday
we're back here in Johannesburg.
And Sunday back home?
Sunday is just a little bit, hopefully a little bit of sightseeing, and then it's back home.
Aish, that's not fair. And any chance of coming back again for an extended stay?
I definitely think so, yeah.
And on social media, where can people find you to just get ready for what you're going to deliver? And can they follow you on YouTube?
Of course. Well, I'm pretty much everywhere on social media, because I'm a social media guy. I like social media. But my favorite channels are, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, and of course I'm on YouTube as well.
Wow.
Hashtag Ilja G.
Now, for young people who are still trying to find their voice, trying to find their place, we have a lot of unemployed graduates in the country.
Yeah.
Unemployment is a bit of a problem. What can you say to them?
I would say look out for kind of like a mentor, people you look up to, people who are kind of like a role model for you, and ask them a lot of questions and follow their guidance, and maybe take the hand they're giving you, because at the end it's all about asking the right questions and becoming that clarity we were talking about earlier. And it's always tough to do it on your own. So having people at your side who could act as a mentor or just as a friend is probably the best advice I can give you, because I learned so much from mentors on my way, and I'm so grateful that they did that for me. I think I would never have been able to achieve all that just on my own, because especially when you're young, I used to be very stubborn and didn't know really what I want, and very, very emotional, and sometimes it's good to have people on your side who just say, well, just calm down, just relax, and ask you one or two tough questions.
Wow. Ilja, time is very jealous, but we will get our friends to go Twitter page and a Facebook page, because all your details will be there.
Yeah.
And they can also engage with you.
I would love to do that, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Nice to have you back in the country. I wish I could have the whole day, just have lunch, tea time with you.
That would be great, actually, because I like to eat.
My man.
Yeah.
That's Ilja Grzeskowitz, who is in Joburg. He's back. He's going home on Sunday. So if you are going to be sit in his audience, please take notes as much as you possibly can. Also to take this to share, because he comes guns blazing with lots of information that will work for you and yours. That's our show. Zelma Kribi, Tabelam Papudi, and of course Ilja, and his chaperone. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow between 3 and 5. It's 5 o'clock now. It's time for Some Luli with the news, and of course it's going to be First Take SA. Have a fabulous Thursday. God bless.